Once upon a time, two retired teachers decided to convert their garage into a pottery studio. Along with their daughter and son, they built a business around the idea that the world could use a little more art and a lot more artists. We're the Kaya family. Welcome to Walkie Pots. Hi everybody, how you doing? How you been? How are things? Shane and Diana here at Walkie Pots for our 14th episode of Coffee Time, where we talk about the things that happened last week, things that are happening this coming week, and a bunch of other stuff related to our little business of pottery here. So what are we going to talk about in this week's episode?
All righty then. Well, we can go over all of the many things that we did last week, which was a lot.
Yep.
We did 2 glaze loads of pottery last week. That's the first we've ever had 2 loads done in 1 week.
Usually, if we ever do 2 loads in the kiln, it's usually a bisque load and a glaze load. It's rarely back-to-back glaze loads. Occasionally back-to-back bisque loads, but not often back-to-back glaze.
No, that's for sure. And like one of the pieces that came out was this bacon cooker.
Right, we talked about the bacon cookers before.
Yes, so, and here it is finished, and I love the coloration of this. I used a Celadon Snapdragon on the wall, and then on the rim, the handle, and the bottom, I used the deep fire brick, and the 2 reds look really nice together.
Very nice.
So that came out along with our very popular test.
Yeah, the test of the crab mug. We'll throw another picture up, a closer picture of this. Yes. Very happy with how this turned out, with the birch doing the majority of the mug, and then underglaze painted on in color. Diana, what do you think about that?
I absolutely love this, and of course we have several more crab mugs to do. Really, really enjoyed painting this. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to replicate that again. I assume if I'm just sitting there with my underglazes, I'll be good.
I know you'll get a much closer picture in a moment. But the thing about this is that it's fun to paint. It's a lot more time consuming, but
I'd say that mug probably had about an hour to an hour and a half total time on the crab. Now, of course, part of that was me selecting the shades that I wanted, and then repetition of layers of paint too, and getting the blends right.
If we get down to the point where we have a definite algorithm, it'll go faster because you'll be able to do like the red part of the crab 10 times or the blue part 10 times. You'll be able to do
so, and this one was done, all one setting. But I can definitely see that, we have a lot more crab mugs in our future, as well as some other things that will be done along the same line.
Right. We'll use the same technique to do different
it was a positive experience. I really enjoyed that.
Very cool.
We mixed up our new dipping glaze.
Right. And we have some things from that.
Yes. And did a test load with that.
Right. So we have a kiln unload video. I don't know that I'm going to actually post that because it was a small unload.
And it was all pretty much just a test of how it reacted with some of the glazes that we have already. And I can tell that some of it is not a good fit right now, because you might not be able to hear it, but as I'm sitting here drinking my coffee, every once in a while in the background, I hear this
ping, ping, tick, tick, ping.
And those are
not good.
And I'm going, oh, some glaze did not like.
Right. And our little bit of sleuthing leads us to believe that it might be the white clay body that we were using.
I did. I tried the dipping on the white clay body as well as on the standard 112.
And sometimes the clay in the glaze is not a great fit. But we'll figure it out, and we'll know for sure.
I'll be taking a flashlight and pouring water in.
Yeah, we'll figure it. We'll sleuth it out
so that I know not to use it again.
Yep. And I see you've got a cup there. You want to talk about that?
Oh, yes. I did not make anything last week. All I did was glaze. However, this cup is here. You actually made this in one of our hand building classes as the example as we were doing it. And I then used it to try out a new technique that I wanted to try, and it's called mishima. So basically, what I did, and he'll put a picture on so that you can see it close up. There's actually a landscape scene all the way around this mug. And first, what I did was I covered the whole mug in a layer of wax. And then I carved the scene through the wax to the clay. After I had finished it, I then took black underglaze and I covered the entire wall of the mug with the black underglaze, let it dry. After it was totally dry, I then came and wiped it off, all the sections that were the wax. And of course, it stayed in all of those grooves that I had carved. So now it's going to be bisqued.
And this is greenware, so it's
Yes.
still not
Yes.
sintered. It's
Yes.
not been bisque flared.
After it goes in the bisque, that wax is going to burn off. And then when it comes out, I'll be able to basically, like a coloring book, color the picture. And I'll use my underglazes for that and then do a clear coat.
And it'll look bright and cheery, like it'll be very vibrant colors. So that'll be fun. That's a new technique.
Yes, and it was very relaxing. Again, it's another time-consuming thing, but I thoroughly enjoyed it the whole time, and I was thinking of all the different things I could possibly draw to do with that. So I think that's going to be one of the things, if this works out, that I'm going to really enjoy doing.
And we have lots of experiment things going on. So I made some cups last week, and you can see the cups that I made over here. The one cup up here that is actually finished is this tiny little cup in front, and I just have that as a matter of scale. And I made cups of many different sizes. And this 8.5 tall cylinder that you see in the middle that does not have a handle on it yet is going to be a beer stein. It's going to be quite large. It'll be by far the largest cup that I've made. It'll have a nice large handle, and it'll be something that you're not going to use all the time, obviously, but it's going to look really good.
It'll be a showpiece.
Yep, and then I have mugs of varying sizes as well, and some have carvings on them, and some are just smooth. But I had fun making cups this last week, and lots more cups coming up in our immediate future. In the kiln load that we did unload a couple days ago, the glaze flare, I took out the sugar and creamer set.
That's right.
And at the time, the lid wouldn't come off of the sugar dish. And I told everybody to tune in to Coffee Time this week to see how the lid comes off. And the lid came off just fine. It's going to be really great, you guys. I really love how that snow celadon looks on our speckled clay. And Diana put this really nice manganese wash on. So we have this that matches a vase that we already did. And it's going to look great. I would love to see maybe a little tray or plate for this to sit on. Maybe that's something we can work on later. But that's a good idea. That's pretty much the only thing that we did aside from our classes. We had another class in the studio, another homeschool class. Fantastic group of kids. These kids were a little bit older than the previous group, and they had a blast in here making cups. And honestly, we had just as much fun as they did. It was a great time.
It really was. So many questions.
Yep,
they were so interested, and they just admired the pottery that we had made.
Right.
I wasn't expecting kids to really appreciate the pottery.
I showed them some of my really old, really bad pottery. And they were trying to make me feel better, telling me that it's not bad, that it looks nice. Well, I know better, and kids are awesome. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Kids are awesome.
They are. Yep. It was. They just they brought the sunshine into
because
the building.
And that's a good way to look at it. It was a rainy day outside, but it was a fantastic, fun time.
It really was. And then, of course, we had the wheel throwing class yesterday too. And
also,
another great
so
class.
Much fun. That went really, really well. I'm using these cheap Amazon wheels for a couple of the wheels that we're using during the class. And one of the problems with them that we've had is that when you push down on the pedal to make it go faster, there's not much delay between very slow and very fast. So I did some MacGyvering,
I love how you fixed it.
And I think I fixed it. It appeared from yesterday's class. It appeared that what I did helped, and that the folks using them did a great job with them. Basically, I took some sponges and stuffed them up inside the pedal so that there's more resistance when you push down on the pedal, so it's slower. And it did seem to work.
It did. In fact, one of the ladies that was here, Lauren, she loved your sugar dish, and she had remember?
Right, she's made her own version. She made a bowl for the bottom, and then a much smaller bowl that she's going to use as the lid for the top. So very, very successful. Fun time with them.
So that was. Yep. It really was. Well, let's see. That was pretty much last week. So we had a good last week.
It was great.
It was really nice.
It went by in the blink of an eye, honestly.
I would have loved to have been able to have got my hands in the clay, but I had my hands in the glaze instead.
Yep. So one of the students asked in this last class how long people had been doing pottery. And I'm going to use that as my question of the week because it's a very good question. So people have been doing pottery pretty much as long as there have been people. Pottery is one of the very earliest technological innovations that helped humans to survive. Some of the earliest known pieces of pottery are 20,000 years old. And I'm not talking just, bits of dried clay that people may have formed. I'm talking about actual ceramic material that was fired. So the technology used to make ceramics has been around for a very long time. I'll throw up a couple of pictures for you guys to see what we're talking about. But the invention of pottery predates the invention of the wheel by a lot, by centuries, by thousands of years. So pottery's been around for a very, very long time. And it's one of the things that I kind of like. I would call it a formative human invention. Without ceramics, without pottery, we wouldn't have been able to do a lot of the things that we can do today. So anyway, that was a very good question. I wanted to kind of answer that. So at least 20,000 years. And there's evidence for even earlier use, but not conclusive. And I'm not going to go into the huge details of it, but as an anthropology, archaeology aficionado, it tickles my fancy to know that we've been doing pottery for as long as we have.
Yes, definitely. Yep. And that's one of the things too. We have a friend who brought by some shards.
Right. So thank you, Doug. That helped make our point. Doug brought in a piece of Pueblo pottery that was 1,000 years old. And to be able to hold in your hand a piece of formed artwork that somebody created 10 centuries ago, that's mind-boggling.
Well, the look in some of the kids' eyes on Friday, because they would reach out very tentatively, because I carried it around, and they reached out and they just touched it like I'm touching something that's 1,000 years old.
I'll show you guys a picture of that too. You wouldn't be able to see it if I held it up right now.
But it's inspired us to get a collection going, and we're going to display it on, I don't know which wall in the studio, but somewhere in the studio.
We'll have a display of
it'll be fun,
of historic ancient pottery.
The fact that something that was made so long ago still exists today is it's mind-boggling.
It really is.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of the question. So thanks. And I can't remember which student asked it.
I don't know, but they were all so wonderful. It's
but
okay.
What a great group of kids, and a great question for us to talk about. Now we have some new things coming this week too. Diana, talk about these things here, the bag and the boxes.
Yes. Well, this wasn't a box, but we did take it out so that you all could see. It's this very powdery substance, and this is going to be the makings of another glaze. I have 3 of them that came in from Clayscapes Pottery. Already, all of the ingredients put together, kind of like when you buy a cake mix in the grocery store, and all you have to do is add certain things. Basically, I'm going to be adding some distilled water to this, and I will have a glaze to test out.
We have to use distilled water because our water has minerals in it that will do funky things
definitely.
our glazes.
But this particular one is lake blue. I have spearmint down here, and then this one is a cream. So part of what I want to do this coming week is mix these up, and then do some more testing with them. I'll keep my fingers crossed that I don't hear pings after just plunking down all that money for those. But that's what happens.
Part of the process is finding out which clay bodies work with which glazes. Yeah. So it's just something we have to go through.
Yes, and there is a very technical way to do it, and very technical testing. But you have to have super expensive equipment and things to do that. And our best bet is to actually have a piece, try it on the piece, and then check the piece, put boiling water in it, put it in ice water. Right. And listen for pings.
Right. So that's coming up for this coming week.
Yeah, and then we have some sunshiny days coming and some warmer weather coming this week. So you are going to be working on those kiln shells before we put in another load.
Right. So our kiln shells really need another coat of kiln wash on them. And that's a protective layer that keeps us from having shelves ruined by glazes that run down onto the shelf. And right now it's flaking and it's falling all over. And I got to take them outside, scrub them with a wire brush, clean them off, and then put a new layer of kiln wash on. I like to do this outside because of the dust that's created, and also it'll dry a little faster in the sunshine. So that's one thing that I need to do before our next load goes in the kiln. But that's, it's a standard maintenance kind of a thing. Yeah. And it gives me a chance to inspect the shelves and look for shelves that are cracking and things like that. So it also is a way for us to just kind of keep up with our maintenance. And I know for sure we're going to be needing new shelves, at least a couple soon. We have a couple of shelves that have cracks, and one shelf that has a pretty severe crack that I think I'm going to have to shift things around and put that shelf on the bottom or something. I don't like how it's cracking. I don't want it to crack in the kiln with pottery on it. That would be catastrophic.
Right, definitely. And of course, we are also going to be prepping for our first show of the selling season.
Yep.
So we will be Friday night in Snow Hill at
the
come
first visit us.
Friday event.
Right, come visit us.
If you're local, come visit us. We'll put some pictures up of our setup and stuff when we're there. But this week, I've got to make sure I check our mugs and put on there how many ounces they hold. I always like to do that because, people people need to know, how much will this hold? And it just helps them when they're making a decision, which mug is best for them.
Right.
And then also I need to price things. I need to decide, we need to decide what things are going to go, because currently we have 550 pieces of pottery.
We don't need to take all of those.
We don't need all of them.
And we also are going to be making some more things.
Yes.
Like we really should crack out 100 mugs at least this week, but I don't know that we're going to have the time. But we should. So we've got a lot of makey things going on too. And you mentioned the glazes that we need to experiment with. I have a bag that you see in front of you here. It's stuff called Paltaya. I got a sample bag of it. It's 3 pounds of a powdered clay epoxy kind of a substance. And the idea behind this is you mix it with water and you end up with a substance that is durable for outdoor use, and there's no shrinkage, like almost zero shrinkage. And what that means is you can make an armature and then coat this on the outside and then sculpt that and have a hollow form that is lightweight and doesn't weigh 700 pounds. I'll throw up some pictures of some of the things that people sculpt with Paltaya. If I like how it works and I like how it handles, this would be something that we might make things like bird baths out of, or large garden sculpture kind of things.
The Maryland dinosaur that you want it to
Right.
do.
So you know how, and I've probably said this a million times, you know how people have this thing for pink flamingos? I would love for people to do that same thing with their state dinosaurs. Like every state has its own state dinosaur. And
I
here,
didn't know that.
Yeah, here in Maryland, our state dinosaur is Astrodon. And it was a long neck plant eating dinosaur that I want to sculpt and have as an outdoor garden kind of a sculpture. Maybe think of something maybe the size of this table. This pautaya could be a good media for that. My only other option that I was thinking was sculpted in foam and then covered in fiberglass. But I want something a little more natural looking than that, something a little more stone-like. And pautaya looks very much like stonework or concrete when it's cured. So I can't wait to play around with it. It's going to take up to.
Time with that.
Well, I will. But it takes up to 25 days for it to actually cure.
Oh wow!
So it's not something you can do instantly, but that's a good thing. There's no need to rush. So that's one thing that I'm going to be playing around with in my spare time, in addition to working on the actual raku kiln that I absolutely have to get done.
Yes, and we have to make some raku pieces.
To go in
some pieces of pottery with the raku clay to go in, so that they'll be ready when the kiln is
right.
Ready.
The raku clay is lower firing.
So many things need to be ready.
Yep, lower firing clay, and it has more grit in it, more sand in it, so it can withstand more thermal shock than some of the really smooth mid-fire clays that we're using.
Yes, and thinking about clay, we seem to have more raku clay over there than any other clay right now,
which is not a good thing, right?
No.
We don't have enough clay in our studio now to make the things that we want to make just this week. So that
we
means
have really gone through it.
That means road trip is what that means.
Here we come, Pennsylvania once again. When we started, we were going to Pennsylvania maybe once every 3 to 4 months.
Yeah,
it's every month. I think we need to double our order, maybe.
Yeah, we're gonna come home with 3 tons of clay in the back of the pickup truck. Probably not, but
probably not that much.
We will be coming home with more than 5 boxes.
Yeah,
sure.
And I did start ordering online today from the store, so that they'll have it ready for us. We'll get it at the less expensive price, because it's cheaper if you order online than if you get it from in store. So I learned my lesson. I'm going to do it the cheaper way. And then when they call us and tell us it's ready, we'll get those wheels on the road.
Yep. We'll go get it.
Yeah.
So we've pretty much come to the consensus that we really like working with the Sheltoe brown clay. It's very smooth, very plastic, very easy to work with clay for the wheel. It's a little softer than what we like working with for hand building. It's because it doesn't have any grog in it. It's maybe a little less stable when it has a lot of moisture in it. So if we're going to use it for hand building, then we just have to be a little more aware and give it a little more time to dry out than we would normally have to do.
But the standard 112 that we use is ideal for hand building, and so like for our hand building classes
we'll keep using
the 112 for that. And I feel confident building with the Sheltoe, and I love how it throws on the wheel, and so I think that's going to be our second main body. But we are going to get a box to try of a white from Kentucky Mudworks,
because also, the white that we're using is clay of tretreachery.
Yes,
it is
and I don't know if it's just white clays or
maybe the batch that we had
was a bad batch. I don't know, but I just don't have the confidence in standard 240 to use it anymore, and I really enjoyed that. So we're gonna shoot for maybe Dark Star or just what was it, White Bear or Iceman. So we're hoping to get one of those types to bring back and try, because sometimes you do want a white clay body. Although I always prefer the speckles showing. It's just something I love, or the really dark clay.
Right, and we do have 25 pounds of white porcelain that we're gonna play around with and make some things out of that just to try and see how it works. It's almost twice as expensive per pound as our normal clays, though.
Yeah, and other than those things, since show season is upon us, and most of the time people like to buy mugs, guess what we're making this week?
Mugs. Mug mode unlocked.
Yes. Mugs, and more mugs.
Yep.
That'll be us. It's lots of mugs.
Lots of them. And we'll do some other things on the side, maybe some plates and stuff to go along with them, but lots and lots of mugs.
And also, if anybody has an idea out there that you think, oh, gee, you guys should make, just shoot us a comment.
Yeah.
Send us a message.
Send us a message, either Facebook or Instakick or whatever.
Or just comment here on the YouTube.
Right.
But yeah, of something you think that we'd enjoy making, or something that you think people would want.
So we're also going to be
always looking for new things.
Our homeschool art classes will be starting up soon, and I apologize for this, folks, but they're booked. We can't take any more people. We wouldn't be able to cram more kids in here with a shoehorn. We are going to be booked solid for that. However, we will be doing. It's a good thing. We will be doing some other classes. There seems to have been a lot of interest in the ocarinas, so we may end up doing like an ocarina class along with our normal mug classes and that kind of stuff too.
And I haven't forgot. I know Michael had requested a bowl class because they've done the plates, they've done the mugs, and now he wants a bowl. He wants a set.
Right. So that's a thing.
So that'll be coming up too. So lots of things happening here at the studio, and I'm so thankful that warmer weather is getting ready to come in, and maybe this time it'll stay and not go backwards.
Yep. Well, we're getting close to spring. We're not there yet, guys, but we're getting closer.
Yeah. So many things coming up to do. But it's going to be a great week.
Yep, it is. And I'm just about done with my coffee. You're probably just about done with yours. So I think it's a good time to wrap it up. Yeah. What do you think? Okay.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that bell icon to be notified of new content, yada, yada, all that YouTube stuff. But in the meantime, toodaloo, TTFN, ta-ta for now. Take care. See you later. Have a fantastic day no matter where you're at. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.